Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, May the 5th. As I kind of suspected a little bit, maybe over the weekend we don't get all the updated information. We didn't have very many deaths to report on Monday, but we've got 21 today. This is probably a culmination of over the weekend, but it very well could also be a sign of the times that we've still got a ways to go. I go over that over and over and over, and I guess that's all I can really do is try to inform you and all the folks throughout our state that we're still not out of the woods. Yesterday I had the opportunity in Colton, West Virginia, to give away a AML grant, and everything for $3.325 million to upgrade their water facility or water works all across their small community. It's over 50 years in the making and everything, and we're really happy to be able to have done that. And those folks were just wonderful. I mean, they turned out in a really big turnout of crowd. There was probably 80 to 100 folks there, and they were really, really, really great to be with, and I thank them in every way because all of them have put in a lot of the hard work to make that become a reality. But one of the things that I spoke about more than anything there is just this, every single person there had a mask on. And there was a gentleman that got up, his name's Jim Rossi, and he's the mayor of the city, and spoke and said, one of the things that we're the happiest about and we appreciate our governor for and everything is how we've guided ourselves through this COVID thing and protected ourselves and our people. And about the time that he said that, it really made me feel wonderful. But the people, you could just see happiness and joy and everything on all their faces as they clapped, and they were really, really appreciative. Now, with all that, you could also see right in their eyes, and they get it. They really get it. We're not through this. And I told them, I said, as I say to you over and over, the steepest part of all mountains, and God knows I have been in lots of those mountains up there because over the years I've done a lot of grouse hunting and all through Randolph County and all across that area. And always the toughest part of getting across the top of the mountain is the steepest part, and always it's near the top. And so I said to them, we're close to whipping this thing, and we've got this thing on the run, and what we've got to do is some way, somehow, we've got to get across the top of the mountain. Well, they really get it. And I really encourage all of you to get it as well, to absolutely help me in being able to get those that are 16 to 35 vaccinated, to continue to vaccinate all the elderly in our state. But absolutely, absolutely, I've got to have your help. I've got to have your help to get across this mountain. Today, I've got to report to you, we've got 21 folks that we've lost. 21 folks have died and everything, and this could be a culmination of a little bit of we didn't get them reported over the weekend timely, and it could be another sign of the times that we're a long ways from being out of this. Please, please, please keep these people in your thoughts and prayers. The worst thing in the world we could do is have these people die in vain. The worst thing, the most disrespectful thing that we could do is let this thing whiplash back on us, and then these people have just died in vain. It's bad enough that we've lost them, but for God's sakes of living, we've got to use all the wisdom that they've given us and get across the finish line, get across the top of the mountain. To do that, we've got to get more and more and more of our folks vaccinated. The 2,687th death is a 96-year-old female from Monongahelia County. The 2,688th death, a 92-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 2,689th death, a 75-year-old female from Jackson County. The 2,690th death of 70-year-old female from Ohio County. The 2,691st death of 60-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 2,692nd death, an 87-year-old female from Tyler County. The 2,693rd death, a 71-year-old male from Jefferson County. The 2,694th death, an 88-year-old male from McDowell County. The 2,695th death, a 65-year-old male from Monongahela County. The 2,696th death is a 51-year-old male from Wood County. The 2,697th death is a 91-year-old male from Cabell County. The 2,698th death, a 43-year-old male from Hancock County. The 2,699th death is an 83-year-old female from McDowell County. The 2,700th death in West Virginia is a 62-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 2,701st death is a 71-year-old female from Berkeley County. The 2,702nd death is a 69-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 2,703rd death is an 86-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 2,704th death is a 66-year-old male from Logan County. The 2,705th death is an 89-year-old female from Wood County. The 2,706th death is a 99-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 2,707th death in West Virginia is an 81-year-old female from Wood County. We've lost a lot of good people. A lot of good people. Don't let these families feel alone, please. We had 405 new positive cases in the last 24 hours. We tested a lot. Our daily positivity is at 3.69. Our cumulative percent of positive is at 5.15. Our active cases are 7,199. Our recovered cases, 145,050. The number of hospitalized is down a little teeny bit to 236, but our ICU patients, continue to climb a little bit more at 91. We have 3 red counties, that's Berkeley, Wayne, and Wirt. And the average age of the folks in West Virginia that are testing positive is 34 years of age. It's really low, really low. That means the average, if the average is 34, we got to have a lot of people that are 16 to probably 22 or 3 years of age that are absolutely testing positive. A reminder, as always, is just this: if you're 65 years of age and older, especially you, because this disease primarily attacks you, and if you're that person and everything and you get feeling the least bit bad, please go get tested, please. We can give you the antibodies and we can stop this thing. From the standpoint of our vaccine eligibility, 16 and above, those are the folks that are eligible, and we've got plenty of vaccine now that we can get in people's arms. The CDC is expected to authorize the COVID vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds within the next week. We don't know that positively, but we are ready when this approval takes place and everything to hold clinics at schools in all 55 counties to vaccinate those that are 12 to 15. I'm sure they'll have to have, the permission of their guardians and all these clinics. At these clinics, we will offer vaccines to all eligible West Virginians, including students and parents and educators. The Department of Education estimates that there will be 78,000 12 to 15-year-old students eligible for the vaccine in our K through 12 schools. And Superintendent Birch is on with us today, and he'll explain more about this and what we're planning to do. Again, I'm trying to appeal over and over to our kids and young people from the age 16 to 35. I'm also calling on all the parents and the grandparents to absolutely help me but absolutely remember to protect yourself. And what I'm saying about this is just this. Remember the example that I gave you of a great friend of mine that was around my ball team, had both vaccinations, and even though it's extremely odd, he ends up with COVID. Now, absolutely, we need so badly to get our kids vaccinated. They are transmitters of this on a very, very high level. Absolutely, we have got to get to our kids and get them vaccinated. So help me there, and you'll be not only helping me, you'll be helping and protecting yourselves. We have our savings bond situation, or $100. We haven't. I don't know that we've gotten through all the details of exactly how all that's going out. But anybody that's 16 to 35 that has gotten their shot, continues to get their shot will receive this, and so don't please quit canceling your appointments until you've heard the rollout. Go on and get vaccinated, and we're absolutely creditable that we're going to send everybody 16 to 35 these dollars. And so go get your vaccine, please. From the standpoint of Everbridge, this is interesting. Yesterday we sent out a message to all the individuals that were registered in the West Virginia COVID-19 vaccination registration system to encourage them all to call the COVID vaccine info line to schedule a vaccination if they or their family member haven't already done so. Now just think about it. We used Everbridge again, and what we did is went back to all those folks that were in Everbridge as registered, but we were looking for family members and or maybe themselves that absolutely had not scheduled their appointment and everything, and we had 973 people call in and to request the vaccine. So that was very successful, and that'll help us a bunch right there as well. From the standpoint of establishing a special needs vaccine clinic, the Kanawha Charleston Health Department and the Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance Authority is partnering with Community Autism and Education Systems, CARES, and the Autism Services Center and the Bible Center Church to provide a COVID-19 vaccination clinic for those with autism and other developmental disorders. It's good stuff. Really, really good stuff. This clinic is scheduled for 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Friday, May the 7th, at the Bible Center Church in Charleston. These people are doing great, and absolutely, I really, really appreciate it. The clinic will provide reduced wait time, a smaller crowd size, and visual supports as well. Participants can remain in their vehicle or receive the vaccine indoors in a very, very friendly environment. Vaccines will also be made available to family members and support staff of those with the developmental disorders. So that's important that you get. If you're bringing a child or someone with a developmental disorder or autism, there, please know that the clinics are also open to any family members or any caregivers or anyone that is, with these people that are having, these special needs. And without question, we want to get you vaccinated as well. And I want to again thank the Kanawha Charleston Health Department and Health Officer Dr. Sherry Young and all those at the Bible Center and at the Autism Services Center, and all those are involved in every way. Thank you so much. This is really thinking outside the box, and this is good stuff, and we're going to get more and more and more folks vaccinated. Now this one here I am super proud of too. The Broadcasters Association Today, I am happy to announce a partnership that we have started with the West Virginia Broadcasters Association. They've reached out to us and wanted to be supportive as possible with our vaccine efforts. So they are now starting to run vaccination messages to all the members of their television and radio stations. They are personalizing the messages with the talent from within their communities. And I want to thank them more than they'll know, by stepping up and really, really helping with all their media organizations and encouraging vaccinations to our kids, our young people 16 to 35 years of age. This is what it takes. It takes all of us pulling the rope together. And if we can get there and with this and everything, not only are we going to shut this thing down, not only are we going to be able to get rid of these masks so much sooner, but we're going to save a bunch of lives. That's all there is to it. And that's what this thing's all about. From a vaccine distribution update, 84.5% total administration of the first and second doses. We want, did I say 84? Okay, 84.5%. We want that to be at 100. We've got over 2/3 of the West Virginia residents over 65 that are fully vaccinated, with both shots. That number is 70.4% with both shots. I'll get to the one shot here in just a second, and that's unbelievable. But 1/3 of our total population over that has been vaccinated now. We are fully vaccinated at 44.2%, but we have the first shots in our arms now approaching 54% at 53.7. That's good. We're getting there. We're getting there. Nobody said that this was going to be a sprint. We're getting there. We're getting there every day. And all these things are going together to make it happen. All the different things, from the special needs clinics to the broadcasters to all the different stuff, where people are thinking outside the box and using Everbridge even in a better way, from the standpoint of our commitment on the $100, the savings bond, or some form of that, whether it be a card that we swipe that's got a real patriotic theme on the card and maybe a silver dollar with it, whatever it may be. I just think we all need another dose of patriotism in this country. It absolutely will help all of us. I wish to goodness we could go with the savings bonds, and we're still working the whole process, but we'll get through all that. Now get this number. Remember back when we said, gosh, if we could get 65% of our, 70% of our 65-year-olds and older, how many lives can we save? I mean, if you go back to January when they thought, no way, you're not going to get to me until April. And then all of a sudden it starts happening, just boom, boom, and we say, we're going now. And that's where West Virginia led the way. We're going now. And so today in the state of West Virginia, we have hundreds of thousands of our 65-year-olds and older vaccinated. But now get this number. Then all of a sudden we thought, well, we can do better than 70. Let's try to get to 75. And then I said, there's no way. We're not going to stop at 75. Let's try to do something that's unprecedented. Let's get to 85%. 85% of those 65 years of age and older. Now think about it. Think about it. 85%. My good Lord of living, if we could get to a situation in West Virginia where we only had 15% of our total population that was unvaccinated, not only would we absolutely be on easy street, not only would we be way, way, way rid of the mask, and we'll get rid of the mask way before we get to that, but absolutely, wouldn't we have saved so many lives? It's unbelievable. They're on the way. They're on the way to getting to 85%. This number absolutely just is so gratifying and so good. Today, the people that are 65 years of age and older in the state of West Virginia, that have had at least one shot is 79.4%. It's amazing, amazing. And we're going to keep it up till we get to that 85, but that's great, great work. I remind you that our businesses, our manufacturers, our churches and everything, all you got to do is call us and we'll come running and we'll do the vaccinations there to your congregation, to your employees, and absolutely it'll just help more and more. Please step up and help us there. Businesses, manufacturers, absolutely our churches. Give us a call and we'll set up and we'll come. From the standpoint of our state parks, I've told you over and over, as a part of our ongoing efforts to get more West Virginians vaccinated, we're going to hold free vaccination clinics to all West Virginia state, at all West Virginia state parks between now and Memorial Day. And before Memorial Day, we're going to start with several high traffic parks, and we'll add more as needed. On Memorial Day weekend, all West Virginia state parks and forests will offer vaccines to employees, families, and park guests. Our clinics will be set up at Central Park locations, all outdoors, and all the details are posted on the westvirginiastateparks.com. The COVID vaccine info line's up, vaccine reminders. I've told you over and over, quit listening to the dark of the closet or the garbage that says, you know, if you get this vaccine, you're going to grow antlers or something. Quit listening to that garbage. It's just plain garbage. Your exposure is so much greater. It is unbelievable, your exposure and everything to this dreaded disease and all the possible side effects and all the problems and everything versus taking the vaccine. Taking the vaccine is so safe, it is unbelievable. And if you don't entrust in me, you surely, to goodness, got to entrust in all the medical team and all the medical experts, because they're the ones that I put my faith in. They're the ones that are supposed to have the knowledge. They're the ones that do have the knowledge. All of our testing, I encourage you to get tested, especially if you have any symptoms whatsoever. All the free testing is up. There's our testing map. I thank Pruitt and I thank Walgreens over and over and over. You know, from the standpoint of our long-term care facilities, we've got 16 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. We have 8 outbreaks in our church community in 7 counties now: Berkeley, Grant, Greenbrier, Hardy, Jackson, Nicholas, and Ritchie counties. We got to really watch there, and we can do better than this, but I thank you for all that you've already done. At corrections, we're down to 32 inmate cases and 11 staff cases. That's, of the 32, 28 of them are at the Southern Regional Jail. I've told you that we're still under mandate to wear your mask in the public buildings and everything. Absolutely, there's never been a mask, a mandate as far as being outdoors. It is something that we all will celebrate getting rid of, and we'll do that absolutely right upon the recommendation of our medical community. And the other thing I'll promise you is I'll promise you this, that on Friday, when we come together Friday, I'll give you a number. I'm going to be asking our medical community to give me a percentage number, to give me an absolute number to where one of the first steps we can take is we can take to where we move to get rid of this mask. And so I'll be giving you that number on Friday and on a report from them. And the only other thing I remind you of is giving blood. Please, if you've been blessed with recovery from this dreaded disease, please consider giving blood. We need it. We need it really badly. It's your gift to be able to save another life. So if you're God above has blessed you, and you can, very safely give blood and everything, I think it's your obligation to consider that from the standpoint of blessing somebody and giving them that gift back. So thank you so much. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Governor. Let's now go to West Virginia Superintendent of Schools, Clayton Birch.
Thank you, Jordan, and good afternoon. Want to talk a little bit today about some of the action plans happening. We know that the governor has asked and focused on all West Virginians getting vaccinated, and we're so fortunate that we're able to really get into the schools and focus on our 16 to 18-year-olds that are still in school, but also our young teachers. In the last week and a half, I've had the opportunity to be out in the schools. In the last month, we've held parent focus groups, teacher groups, and even though we had student focus groups, I wanted to be out in the schools. And I just want to thank Nicholas County High School, Woodrow Wilson High School, Point Pleasant High School, Raleigh County Career Technical Center, Nicholas County Career Technical Center. Those were just the last schools in the last week I've been to. And it's interesting that each and every student almost says the same thing, no matter what community they're in. First and foremost, they're all thankful to be back in school. They realize, even as high school students, elementary students, middle school students, how important it was to be back in school face to face. But the interesting thing that we've been able to talk about in these student roundtables is, what does the future look like? Some of them going off to college next year, some of them wanting to get back to some normalcy for next year. And it all came back to vaccinations. And each one of these students talked about the role vaccinations will play in the future of school. Now, there is one young man out there that I think had one of the best taglines for all of his underclassmen friends. And this young man was a senior, and he says, listen, Superintendent Birch, I'll make it very, very simple. I would tell all of my friends and peers in high school, if you don't want your senior year next year or your high school year next year to suck, get a vaccination. Just do it. And he made me laugh, but he also he sent a very poignant message that even our young people are talking about the power of what this vaccination could do for them. And it didn't matter whether they were AP students, career technical education students, students that might be in the JROTC. They all had the same message. It is the only way they see forward to get back to some normalcy and to protect themselves and their families. And I know the governor understands that the Department of Education, we did not want to come out when we announced and we pushed with the team that you see each and every week here, that we're going to focus on our teachers, that we're going to focus on our students, and just have aspirational plans of what will we do. So I think it's important for the public to know that right now, you can go to the West Virginia Department of Education homepage, wvde.us. There are right now videos that we've posted, everything from a message to parents and children from Dr. Clay Marsh. We have videos from local pharmacies talking about the role they played in this past year in vaccinations, testing. In fact, even very small local pharmacies. We went up to New Cumberland, West Virginia in Hancock County. Davis Pharmacy in New Cumberland, West Virginia is highlighted in one of these videos, and how they, as a local health leader, can really support the community. And they've been on board, many across the state have been on board to help share that message. And it's interesting that the governor mentions that we can't get caught up in some of these stories on social media about the vaccine. We heard that time in and time out from the students, from the teachers, from the families, that we've really got to do a much better job educating folks how important this is. So we're so proud of the team that we have here. And again, those videos are live, upcoming actually next week on our month-long tour in the schools. We have been capturing videos from our students. And we are going to be posting testimonials next week from high school students across the state in our travels and their views on the vaccination. And we have overwhelmingly been so supported by students and principals and superintendents. We talk about the clinics being available throughout the state. We have invested about $34 million out of CARES funding to support summer programming in all 55 counties this summer. And as the governor stated, these programs, we will ensure that there is a partnership and a way to make sure that any child, hopefully soon down to 12 years old, will have the opportunity to have the vaccination. But even more important, those are not limited to just the children in that school. we welcome all. So all partners that are doing testing and vaccinations, we are now open. We want it to be for all. And finally, I do want to say that the more and more we learn about this vaccination, and Dr. Marsh explained this in some recent videos we did for young people, they do understand what we've had to do this year, and we know we hear the term resilient, and they've had to pivot. And one thing that we've talked about in the last several weeks is just how much these students have paid attention to what it takes to make their school year continue and be safe. I know we have sporting events continuing now. We have proms and graduations upcoming. And I know we're still in an indoor mask ordinance, but out of 640 schools, of that, there's 114 high schools in the state, 152 middle schools. We are now down to about 40 total outbreaks across the entire state, and that's actually pretty good for where we are with so much activity getting back to normal. So thank the students, thank the teachers. We're going to continue working week in and week out with our principals and superintendents to assist us as a state in promoting and getting these vaccinations out there for our young people. So Jordan, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Next, we'll go to Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar.
Well, good afternoon. And to follow up with what the governor said and with what Superintendent Birch said, we are very, very focused on helping make sure that we are providing all of the information that we possibly can so that younger West Virginians, including our students and the folks that we see now over the last 7 days, have the highest rate of positive testing, which is our 10 to 19-year-old group, to see that they receive the information and their parents and their grandparents and the people that love them so that they can make the wisest decision with their family. And as Superintendent Birch said, we believe the way back to a more regular life for our students is through choosing vaccination. We also know that this group of students, particularly with the variants, the United Kingdom variant being the most common in West Virginia, are at risk to becoming infected. And as they may become infected, this virus is much more easily spreadable to other people. So they may, without having any intention, infect other people in their family or friends or community who are, much more vulnerable and who may suffer many more severe consequences, particularly if those people are not vaccinated. So we are really calling out to all of our parents and grandparents, much like we called out to our younger West Virginians earlier, to protect these more older, vulnerable citizens, residents of West Virginia in our Operation Save Our Wisdom. Now we are turning the telescope around and asking that our parents and grandparents really start to reach out and help our younger West Virginians choose to be vaccinated, because you as a younger person in West Virginia are our future, and we want to protect our future just like we wanted to save our wisdom. As we look at the Food and Drug Administration and the CDC, we do anticipate that the Pfizer vaccine will likely be given emergency use authorization sometime within the next week. The country of Canada has just okayed that vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds, and we believe it will follow very quickly in our country. So this will give us additional opportunities, as the governor said, to increase the number of West Virginians that we are able to offer vaccination to, because ultimately, as we can approach these larger numbers that the governor said, in that range of 70 to 80% of our total population, then we believe that that will be the range of herd immunity. And even if we're not able to reach that immediately, we know that the more West Virginians we vaccinate, the lower the number of cases of COVID-19, the less the variants can continue to spread, which makes all of us at risk, and also the less people that will be hospitalized and die of COVID-19. Lastly, I will say that there has been guidance from the CDC on camping in the summer, And that guidance has been relatively roundly criticized for being overly conservative. So as the governor has really done with the state in balancing the ability to make sure that we are able to get back to what we hope to be able to offer to each citizen, to each resident, to each student, getting back in school, getting back together, being able to play sports, to be back in, to be back in the activities that we see not only as being very enjoyable, but also as reconnecting back to reduce, mental health problems, isolation problems, that's balance between, separation and protection and coming back together is really one that most importantly is affected by how many West Virginians we can have fully vaccinated. So West Virginia is, again, our time to lead and to shine. And we hope that this will be really embraced by families and by younger West Virginians as it has been by our Operation Save Our Wisdom.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marsh. Next, we'll go to retired Major General Jim Hoyer, the director of our Joint Interagency Task Force.
Good afternoon. Just follow up on a couple items as the governor presses us to continue to engage in schools, and Superintendent Birch pointed out the work being done. We are prepared to begin to execute as soon as the authorization is made available for 12 to 15-year-olds. But as the governor pointed out, we will continue to make those clinics available to all family members, continue to reinforce the effort to 16 to 18-year-old students. Our interagency task force team, I want to thank them, along with Deputy Superintendent Michelle Blatt, as well as the SSAC, for a lot of work being done behind the scenes to coordinate all these activities and to make sure that we get to the maximum number of students and family members possible. So we will continue to work that. We do have plenty of Pfizer vaccine available for this effort, and we'll continue to order additional Pfizer vaccine to target that population upon the approval. As the governor pointed out, a lot of efforts going on with tourism and DNR to be prepared to do our state parks and do events at our state parks and make sure that they are done safely. So a lot of great work continues to be done behind the scenes. I want to thank all the members of the Interagency Task Force and our many partners for the great work going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Yesterday, the Biden administration announced that it was going to be changing how it allocates vaccines to states. States are now going to be able to turn down some or part of their allocation so that it can be used by states where it might be more needed or more accepted. So I was wondering, is this change going to have any effect on, any of our plans, any of our ordering? Are we going to be reducing our allotment since we sort of hit this wall, or are we ramping up in line with these new initiatives? Thank you.
Well, Charles, I'm going to defer to General Hoyer, but before I defer, I would tell you that it's been my viewpoint of this, that we don't need to start dramatically reducing our ordering system, because we don't want to get in a situation where we're wasting vaccinations. We don't want to get in that. But we sure don't want to get in a situation to where we have a real need and then we're scrambling again to try to some way, somehow come up with the vaccine. So, General, you can add a whole lot more about this than I know, but please go ahead.
Yes, sir, Governor. Charles, it doesn't really change significantly what we do now. As you know, we've had a number of challenges in the road. When Johnson & Johnson was pulled off for a period of time, we had to manage getting more of other doses. Now we're back in with Johnson & Johnson. We manage issues related to shelf life of all vaccines. So we also have partnered across FEMA Region 3, the various states, to work allocations where needed. So as the governor points out, we can't really take our foot off the gas on this, and we got to continue to do it. And we Our team at the Interagency Task Force does a great job of managing behind the scenes allocation of which specific vaccines in given weeks. And remember too, we've got folks that continue to need booster doses. So starting next week, we're already at the point of booster doses for 16 to 18-year-olds in our school system. So a lot of things that continue to require us to maximize our capability.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next, we'll go to Annie Moore with WVVA.
Governor, I know you worked hard to keep the St. Stephen's Episcopal Day School open. With the school closing this May, do you have any comment on that?
Oh, Annie, I really, I hate it, you know, and everything. I don't really know a tremendous amount of the details and everything, and I'll be able to share more about that with you in the days to come. But you know, I hate to see any of our institutions, and that's surely been that institution in Beckley for a long time. And you know, I guess I was there a few years ago, and as one of the students, but nevertheless, what an incredible run that they've had, and a lot of congratulations to go their way. And you know, I'm sure that, you know, there's a life cycle on everything, but boy, this has really been a staple for that area for a long time.
All right, thank you, Annie. Next to Bob Aaron with WCHS and Fox 11.
Governor, we started out with a well-organized, exemplary effort in getting vaccines out, led the nation. Now looking around, it seems like we're having more trouble getting shots than some of our surrounding states into people. And given the fragile nature of our population, are we looking at some bad outcome down the road, or have we gotten enough vaccines in the elderly to avoid that? It just seems like we're really up against the wall here.
Well, Bob, let's be fair again, okay? You know, I was critical over the fact that I felt like that we needed to be able to tell our story, and we have a lot of good things that were happening in West Virginia. In fact, I said, you know, to just be perfectly honest, you just got, you know, if we have trouble getting it here, just watch what's getting ready to happen in the national news. And because I had already had all kinds of the national news calling saying, what in the world's going on in West Virginia? It's just the greatest story in the history of all time. And it made us all proud. And even though I think you guys may have been a little late to the party, you know, I think we all jumped on, and it was a really nice run that we had. Now, with that, let's be perfectly fair again. You know, we got out in the race and led the way to getting our people vaccinated. Every state's going to hit some level of resistance. When Johnson & Johnson came out, that was a cannonball to everybody when we paused the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And really, it was probably a terrible mistake. I mean, we lost 6 or 7 people over millions, and we absolutely, you know, reacted on a knee jerk, and then put a lot of reluctancy into a lot of folks. Now, Bob, what have we done? What have we done again? Now we've stepped back and we've said, okay, we've recognized that we're hitting a wall. And what do? We come out with a $100 initiative to try to get our people 16 to 35 going. We came out and put a real focus on 16 to 35. Look what's happening right now. Just look what's happening. You've got the Department of Education that's all go. You've got the Broadcasters Association all go. You've got absolutely all kinds of things that are happening in West Virginia to where we're ramping again. West Virginia is going to end up leading the way again. If I have anything to do with it, at least I'm going to try. I'm going to try with all in me in every way. So the net of the whole thing is this poor little state that a lot of people looked at as backward and behind and all that. That poor little state led the way. That poor little state, like every other state in the country, if they are going to, all of us are going to meet some level of resistance. Johnson & Johnson came out and did their thing just like that. And when that happened, more resistance. And then what did we do again? That poor little state, the backward state, reacted again. And we did so with our savings bond effort, with the emphasis on our 16 to 35-year-olds, with absolutely a special needs situation, where we're going for the special needs folks, our state parks, the broadcasters have stepped up, and God knows I love them totally to death for doing that, because, I was asked a question, and I can't recall the lady's name, and she said, "What are you going to do in Wayne County?" And I said, "We need you. And Bob, we need you too. We need everybody that's pulling the rope and helping us and everything, because West Virginia has been the leader, and West Virginia was faster to get to the wall than other states will be and everything." That's good stuff. That's really good stuff, because being faster to get to the wall, we saved a pot full of lives. Now what we're doing, we're stepping back, and we're trying to calculate a way and a strategy for us to get over the top of the mountain. Bob, there's lots, and I'm going to pass all the accolades to my team that's around me and all the great folks that really have, all I do is really, when I get really dead on something, I push, and I push, and I push, and everything, because it is just this important. We're saving lives. That's all there is to it. 21 today. 21. I mean, it's a crying shame and everything. But with all that, as we all keep pulling the rope together, I've got some great folks around me, and we're going to get there.
All right, thank you, Bob. Next, we'll go to Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor and staff and fellow reporters. First of all, Governor, thanks for the shout out to the Broadcasters Association. We're very happy to do this and put our megaphone out there, all the individual stations in our group. There's a lot of them. And so we're glad to help get the word out and encourage people to get vaccinations. My question is, and I want to drill down a little bit on how we're going to get to the 12 to 15-year-olds. Are we going to have clinics in middle schools? Will it be all middle schools or a centrally located middle school? And will there be a downloadable form on your website where it's an authorization form that parents can download and sign so that they don't necessarily have to be present when their kids get the shots?
Okay, I'm gonna pass to Clayton and back to General Hoyer on this, but before I go, Mark, again, I can't thank the broadcasters enough. You wield such a strong stick, and you're so important. And stepping up like this is, it's really meaningful. And the good Lord only knows, the number of lives that you'll save. And I don't know if that's 1 or 100 or 1,000, but it's substantial. And so I thank you again and again. And the only other thing I would say is this on the 12 to 15-year-olds, and I wrote myself this note, there's good and bad. The bad is we want to not take our focus off of this group from 16 to 35. And absolutely, we don't want to take our focus off all the people, 65 and above and on. But really and truly, we are dialed into 16 and 35. Now, if we add 12 to 15, it's going to be helpful from the standpoint of our total population. But absolutely, we've got to conquer this 16 to 35. So there's going to be some good. There's no question. There's going to be good. But at the same time, we got to stay on task and everything. And so So Clayton, if you and the general could answer or add some more to this, that'd be good.
Absolutely, and I'll let General Hoyer tag in with me. But we watched the rollout of vaccinations when we began with educators and service personnel and everybody involved in the school system. And the ability for the schools to put those together with local partnerships, with the Joint Task Association, it went so well. And I think General Hoyer will be able to speak to just how efficient it was actually done. As we travel around and talk to the principals and the school leaders, the governor's correct. We were really targeting these high school students in 16. Adding the 12 mark to kind of answer your question is, yes, the goal would actually be that we continue those processes of using local health officers. Some of our schools have health clinics and others stepped up to assist us. We want to make this easy for the families. And we are actually used to schools being able to work with families on permission forms and things like that. So schools were already equipped to work with their families to get those parental permission slips and educate their families. So General Hoyer, I'll let you kind of add in.
Yeah, Mark, as Clayton pointed out, we've been really successful with this, and it's due to a lot of the behind the scene works with the folks from the Interagency Task Force, the county school boards, the county health departments, county emergency managers, principals, and the State Department of Education has been an incredible partner with us. So we feel like we've got this down. We know what we need to do on ordering doses with the Pfizer vaccine, and a lot of great community partners, again, including pharmacies and hospitals and FQHCs, and everybody are ready to go and ready to execute once we get the approval from the federal government to do this.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. Nationally, there have been a number of stories about people not coming back and getting their second shot of a vaccine. I wanted to know if that is a problem that's creeping up on West Virginia, and if you have a plan to reach out to those people to get them back in for that second shot. And maybe as a third part to that question, how much time would you have beyond your 21 or 28 days to get a second shot and still have it be as valuable as the regular vaccine regimen? Thank you.
Okay, Paul, let me defer the last question because I don't know the answer, on how many days you have after your scheduled due date and everything. But I can tell you this, that we've got 53.7% of the population of the eligible population today with first round shots and 44.2% with second round shots. So we've gotten 80%. 80% plus of the people that had their first shot have been in and gotten their second shot. And I'm sure we've got a bunch more that are still scheduled and everything. So I really think the follow-up on the second shot has been tremendously successful in West Virginia. And if I'm wrong about that, General, I'd welcome you to speak up and tell me. Answering the tail end of the question, if someone would, Dr. Marsh or someone, could follow up on that. But I think we're really strong on the second shots.
Hi, Governor and Paul. It's 6 weeks per the CDC, so 42 days after the first shot is considered within that window.
In general, maybe you could follow up on the first and second shots.
Yes, sir, Governor. As you pointed out, we actually have one of the best rates in the country of uptake of second shots. I know a number of people have seen national news where there's a significant problem across the country, but right now West Virginia is not seeing that. Our citizens are stepping up and taking their second dose, and we're managing an exceptionally good rate right now of uptake.
To me, just a second, Paul, and I say this to all of the, you know, the media folks that are on with us and everything, but all of these things, you know, not only do we need your help, and you know, and gosh knows how much we appreciate the broadcasters from the standpoint of stepping up and messaging, you know, to our 16 to 35-year-olds, because that's huge, you know. But we need your help also in you know. Granted, I would be first to say if we've got something, if we've done something wrong or we've got a shortcoming and everything, point it out. Point it out. You'll help us, and we'll try, you know, we'll try to look at it as positive as we possibly can, and we'll try to get better, you know, and I'm for that. But at the same time, just what the general just said, and just what I was just saying, you know, if we have a story to tell about how West Virginians are stepping up and taking their second round shots, and either leading the nation or in the top, you know, rankings within the nation and everything, report that, please, because that helps us. That makes people in West Virginia feel absolutely comfortable. You see, I don't care if you report it for me. I mean, for crying out loud, I don't care about that at all. But I care about this. If you've got somebody out there that's watching the television and they're saying, watching the TV, they're seeing a lot of people across the country are reluctant to take their second shot. And then you see a lot of people that, you know, that are sitting there saying, you know, Johnson & Johnson, we just paused Johnson & Johnson because people are developing blood clots. And there that person sits. And that person says, you know, I don't know if I'm going to take that second shot. And then they decide, no, they're not going to do it. And then we end up losing that person. You know, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about something that is good for Jim Justice or good for General Hoyer or good for whomever. We're talking about a life. We're talking about a life. And if they in turn hear that West Virginians are stepping up for their second round shots more than anybody in the nation, then they feel comfortable. And then they want to go. They want to be part of the whole process. And so help us there. That's what I'm saying. The more goodness that we can report when we do good, you know, the better off all of us will be in my book. So thank you a bunch again.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next, we'll go to June Leffler with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hello, Governor and panel. The Biden administration has put a sort of a benchmark time frame on when they want to get 70% of the population vaccinated. They're saying July 4th. I'm wondering if you guys are viewing it in the same way, trying to get 70% by July 4th, or any sort of timeline you have on getting these vaccinations up to par. Thank you.
June, listen, from my standpoint, I love it. I love it, you know, from the standpoint that the faster we can get there, the faster we're going to be able to get rid of these masks, the faster we're going to be able to, as a nation, get back to being able to be at ball games and enjoying our families and being at picnics and everything and enjoying our neighbors and getting back to some level of normalcy. I mean, you know, just like Clayton Birch said that kid that was a 18-year-old senior and said to his fellow students, you know, for God's sakes, take the vaccine. If you don't want your senior year to suck, and that's what he said, if you don't want that to happen, take the vaccine. Because basically he's saying that his senior year was pretty tough, was really pretty tough. So really and truly, if the Biden administration is targeting July the 4th, well, we want to beat them to that. We want to beat them to that because West Virginia wants to lead, and we want to beat anything that is coming from a national perspective. But I salute and congratulate, and you know, I want it more than anybody. I'll promise you that.
All right, thank you, June. Next to Taylor Stuck with the Herald Dispatch.
Hi, Governor. Hi, everyone. With the push to get 16 to 35-year-olds, I was wondering if you had considered anything that would require students at our higher institutions of public learning to require the vaccine before they attend school. I've been told that our public institutions can't require that themselves, that they would need that to be a state law. So would that be something that you would support or help to get passed? Or have you thought about that and maybe that's not the route you would like to take? Thank you.
I think, and I'm going to have to double check this, but I think that's a little incorrect. I think that our public institutions can require that, but colleges that are around the country, I think public, and don't hold me to this, but I think public institutions are in many places across the country requiring that. And we're looking at it. You know, I hate like crazy to keep, coming out with things that says you've got to do this and everything. And it would be so much better if we did it on a voluntary basis and we were able to pull it off and everything. But we're looking at all of it and working with all of our institutions and everything because daggone, I mean, if, especially we got kids coming in from out of state and everything else and everything, it's something that they ought to step up and do, that's for sure.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Next to Phil Kabler with the Charleston Gazette-Mail.
Hello, everyone. Governor, I wondered if you could explain your extreme tardiness today. You rolled in about more than an hour late with no explanation or an apology. And it seems to be an extreme example of a pattern of lateness with these briefings.
Well, Phil, I don't know what in the world you're talking about, to tell you the honest truth, unless my communications people have messed it up because I told them day before yesterday or whenever we were going at 1 o'clock today, and so if we've messed it up, I promise you, if I'd have rolled in an hour late and everything, I would have been the first to have told you that and offered up the apology. But I don't have a clue what in the world you're talking about unless somebody on the communication side messed it up.
All right, Governor, we'll turn it back to you.
Okay. I guess I try to make myself notes as we go. And the first note I made is, again, a really special thanks to our broadcasters, a special thanks to those that are working, Everbridge, from the standpoint that we picked up in one day, we picked up an extra 973 people, or if I'm right on the number. A special thanks to all those in the Kanawha County and the Charleston area and everything, as far as helping out to come up with a creative way and with the special needs clinic at the Bible Center. And a special thanks again to all those with our state parks that are stepping up through tourism, through Steve McDaniel and Chelsea Ruby and all those across the land that are stepping up with vaccination clinics there. Our people continue to work really hard as far as everything goes with trying to get our 16 to 35-year-olds and get them, all in place to be able to get more and more and more of that population vaccinated and work through all the different aspects of everything from the savings bonds right on down. If you'll again watch the national news, we've had a lot of hits and a lot of interest, from different people that are calling in. I think even yesterday the governor of Connecticut called and with wanting to inquire about what we were doing in regard to that, as well as I know the people over in Kentucky have called, and again I'm going to fall back on just this. I want our experts to give me a number, that they would be comfortable with the mandatory mask in our public buildings. Give me a number, give me a percentage that they would be absolutely comfortable that we we could back off the mask in our public buildings and everything. But knowing that this is, there's some level of risk and everything, and we surely want to get rid of this terrible inconvenience and everything, but at the same time, we want to absolutely be prudent and safe to all of our people. And the last thing I would add, you know, with all the stuff that we've reported today, and Phil, I'm really, really glad to see that you're on top of the news and everything, and going to be concerned the most over the fact that maybe there was a posting in error about the timing of the briefing. But Phil, you just stay on top of your job and keep on throwing off on our service personnel and our foster children, and just do the great stuff that you've done for years and years for the contribution you've made to the state of West Virginia. So proud of you.